Hello everyone, I'm Bryce, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to draw realistically with color pencils. So let's jump right in. I'm going to start with laying down a marker base. This helps establish a smooth, clean look to the skin without it looking too grainy. Sometimes you'll notice on different drawings that if the artist does not burnish enough or layer enough colors, the skin could look grainy and have a lot of texture, and it overall just does not look very smooth. Now for the skin tones, I'm going to be using some beige, cream, peach, light peach, and white for her flesh tones, and for the highlights I'll obviously be using some white. Now I'm just going to kind of block in where the shadows go and where I think the colors go. Just doing a quick first layer so that I can establish where all the colors go. And I'm just building up those layers now. You want to be patient with this process as well. You want to take your time and build up the layers slowly. Just do whatever layer you think needs to be added. If you think there needs to be another light peach added, add another light peach. If you think another white layer needs to be added, just add it. Just build up until you are getting an accurate representation of the skin tone color. And then burnish when you think it looks fine. I also wanted to note that you should be using sharp pencils for realistic drawings. It helps get into the tooth of the paper and really helps to establish a smooth look. As you saw in the clip before, those three colors were very sharp. I use a handheld sharpener by Derwent. It's very nice. I'll have the link to it in the description below. So now I'm just building up more layers, continuing to layer. It's very important. Trying to make her skin look as smooth as possible. I also recommend that you should burnish with white or one of her skin tones. For me personally, I don't like to burnish with white just because it tends to wash out the colors a little bit more. So I burnish with one of the dominant skin tones or a colorless blender pencil. As you can see now, I did one eye off camera just to make sure I was doing it correctly and it wouldn't look bad before I started. I obviously wouldn't want that to be in the time lapse if it was bad. This is a tip that requires for realistic portraits only. It doesn't necessarily require all realistic drawings. But you want to make sure when you're doing hair, such as eyebrows and eyelashes, that you do not add too many. Adding too many can make it look too clumpy or completely fake, and there is no going back once you add too many. I always say that it's better to have less than to add too many. Now I'm just adding a little bit more depth to her face with the creases under her nose and the smile lines. And now I'm going to be starting on her lips. So for this it was quite tricky. I didn't really have a color that matched her lips. So I had to blend a little bit of peach with the red. And honestly to me it still doesn't look right, but I think it turned out okay in the end. You also want to make sure that when you're drawing portraits, you be really careful with the teeth. Because if you get any color in there, even if I got like a little bit of the red from the lips or a little bit of black from her mouth, it would ruin the look of the teeth and not make it look realistic. You want to make sure that that stays as white as possible or gray. Now I'm on to doing a marker base for the neck. You don't see much of the neck in the drawing because of the hair, but I still wanted to color it enough to the point where it didn't look strange being there, if you know what I mean. The next tip I want to add for doing skin or making something look smooth is to do circular motions. I use circular motions all throughout her skin on her face and neck so that it blended very nicely and add a smooth look to it. When I start doing hair in a second, you'll notice that I use a different technique. So I start the hair with a marker base as well, just so that it takes a little bit less time than it normally would. I only did the green for a marker base because I did not want to do the black. I was afraid that it would look too cartoonish, so I just skipped it. For hair, there's not really much to it. You just need to do the strands the same length as the hair. So for example, if a man had very short hair, you want to do very short strokes. And if a woman, such as Billie Eilish, had longer hair, you want the strokes to be longer. You also want the strokes to be in the direction of the hair. This is very important for realism. If the strokes are not in the direction of the hair, then the hair is going to look very clumpy and just strange looking. You also want to layer for hair too. Just add as many strands as possible, but don't add every individual strand. You want to do the clumps. So just pay attention to where the highlights are in the hair and the shadows are, while keeping that same stroke pattern. To be honest, I'm pretty sure the hair took me longer to do than the face, but I just want to note that just to say, do not rush the hair. Sometimes things will take a lot longer than the main focus of the drawing, but you still need to put as much time and effort into it as possible. Once again, I'm keeping my pencil very sharp to achieve thin, light strokes. If the pencil was dull and nubby, the stroke hairs will be way too long and, once again, not look very realistic. Still continuing to build up those layers and clumps of hair. For Billie's hair, it was a little bit difficult because most of her hair was black, and I couldn't just color the entire thing with black color pencil. I had to try and add a little bit of highlights in there. So I used white, silver, and like a light gray. And I also used a small eraser to erase some of the black color pencil. So now I'm going to start using an Xacto knife. Now this is basically just a little knife that artists use to lift up color pencil in hair. So it creates little individual strands in the hair, and it achieves a very realistic thin look to the hair. It helps create flyaways and just any highlights in the hair that you want to add. Another point that I wanted to add for drawing realistically is that I don't want you to add too many highlights. Don't do it. It tends to look too fake afterward if you add too many. Just add what you see in your reference photo. Another point that I want to make was about the reference photo. You want to draw what you see in the reference photo. Do not draw what you think you see or what technically should go there. The reference photo is the real life picture, so you want it to look as close to that as possible. Now I'm just going to be working on her shirt a little bit. Her shirt was mainly black with a little bit of like a whitish blue purple highlight. So I just kind of skipped that and did that off camera. Wasn't too difficult. Once again, just layering and blending those colors in. I also did her necklace off camera because I found that very, very difficult, and it took me quite the process. Just make sure you're paying attention to detail and take your time. Here I am using a small eraser to go back and lift up a little bit of color pencil to just add some more depth to her hair. Now I'm going back in with a white Posca marker and just adding some highlights where they need to be in her necklace and a little bit in her teeth. So guys, that is it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Here is the finished drawing once more. Please let me know your suggestions, feedback, and comments down in the comment section below. I'm really open to hear everything you have to say. But that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.